I'm really happy that Ali Nikrang today is here. He is on the one hand a piano player and on the other hand a computer scientist, and his research topic is artificial creativity, and I'm really happy to have this talk here for the next 45 minutes. Ali, your stage.
Which is a key research topic at Ars Electronica Futurelab. My name is Ali Nikrang. I am a researcher there, and since I have my background in computer science and in classical music, I am interested in any kind of interaction between AI and creativity, especially music, of course. I think the piece of music we just heard is a very good example of artificial creativity, as it is composed by an artificial intelligence system, namely MuseNet from OpenAI. They published MuseNet last year, and for me personally, it was the first time that, that an AI system was able to compose music of such quality. So is it now time that we can say computers can compose music? I mean, we all know that composing music is something that's supposed to be highly creative, highly human. And if we say that computers can compose music, then we have to admit that they are also creative. Well, we can say they can compose music because it was existing proof. But about creativity, we can discuss because it depends on how we define creativity. One of the very common definitions of creativity is that creativity is a new combination of elements that is of value. It means we have two factors, the newness and the value. I begin with value. I mean, it's very difficult to estimate the value of an artwork. We all know about many great composers and artists in human history who have been highly underestimated in their lifetime. So we are not beginning with that. We are not trying to estimate the artistic quality of something, because it's not possible. And by the way, if there is no human artist involved in the process of generation, how can we talk about art and artistic value? But what we still can do is to estimate the quality based on music theoretical points of view, like harmonic complexity, melodic complexity, rhythmic complexity, and of course related to the corresponding style. And of course, we could also use our subjective perception as estimation. What about newness? I mean, deep learning models, they are trained with large amount of data, and they aim to generate similar data. It means they try to generate something that is existing. But it turned out that powerful models like MuseNet for music composition, they generate actually new data because it is very unlikely that they generate something that is existing in the training set, because they also have some kind of randomness in the process of generation. And if we combine additional parameters like styles with each other, so it is almost impossible that they generate something that we have already in the training set. I mean, the newness is something that is only important for creative applications, because if you have a text generation application or if you have a translation application, it doesn't matter if the result, if the sentence in your result already exists in the training set, because you don't have the goal to generate always something new. It means we have new data, and we have data that is of value. So actually, we can say computers are creative, and we can ask us, what does it mean for us, for artists, and for people who are interested in creative applications? I'm not talking about the future. Even with the current technology, I think it is possible to use this kind of models as a powerful new source of inspiration. We know that deep learning models, they are trained with hundreds of thousands of data in case of MuseNet and music, or in other cases. So they are trained with large amount of data. And it is very likely, and actually it happens very often, that they see relationships and dependencies in the data that human observers might not have been aware of. And therefore, they can at least serve as a new powerful source of inspiration. The piece of music we just heard, I mean, everything is correct in the piece of music, and it was emotional. It was able to trigger emotional responses in us. And it is something that I don't think that really it is possible to say if it was composed by an AI system or by a human composer. So we are in a very new situation where we have pieces of music that are composed by AI, but it's not possible to say if it is coming from a machine or from human composers. I would like to show you another example, again from MuseNet. And MuseNet has some features. For example, you can set the style of a composition, and you have several predefined styles of great composers. And you can have something that is called prefix. Prefix means that you can tell the model how to start the piece of music. And combining those two things, you can actually do very funny compositions. For example, you could take a melody by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, a very famous one, melody, and then combine it, not combine it, and then continue it in the style of Frédéric Chopin, for example. And this is exactly what the next example does. Was composed by a human composer or by AI music, because everything was, again, correct in the terms of music theory. I would like to give you some background information about the technology, how we can generate music. In the last years, actually last 2 years, it turned out that we could use technology from the natural language processing research area also for music, and they work very well. Natural language processing is obviously about understanding natural language, and we have tasks like translation, text generation, text summarization, text classification, for example, to detect hate speech or how a commentary is, and everything that has something to do with understanding natural language. And the basic idea of generating text, or it's actually the task that many of natural language processing models are trained with, the basic idea is if you have a model that can predict or generate the next word, given some previous words, your model has to have some kind of basic understanding of the data it is trained with. Let me give you an example. We have the sentence, "Today is a beautiful day," and we want to generate this sentence word by word. And we are at the last word, today. So it means we want to generate, "Today is a beautiful day." We want to generate day. So what is necessary? What kind of information is necessary to generate that word? Of course, our model should know we are talking about days, because today is a day. And a day can be beautiful. Therefore, it's very likely that we have "today is a beautiful day." And it is not very likely that the sentence is ended with "car." So "today is a beautiful car." It doesn't fit in this context. It sounds maybe simple, but it's not. One of the very famous examples of the issues we have here is the sentence, "The animal couldn't cross the street because it was too tired." And we want to translate it to German or to French. For doing that, we have to know what this "it" refers to in the sentence, because in German and in French we have genders for words, and we have to know if this "it" at the end refers to street or to animals. I repeat the sentence: the animal couldn't cross the street because it was too tired. So we have to know what was tired. Was the animal tired or the street was tired? For us, it is very easy to understand, and for us it's a simple task because we know so many things from the words. But a translation system has to know it from somewhere. This information is not in this sentence. So the translation model has to know an animal can be tired, but a street cannot be tired. So my point is, it's actually a very complicated task. And for music, we have the same idea, just instead of words, we use notes, roughly speaking. It means the assumption is if we have a model that is able to generate or to predict the next note given some previous notes, so the model has to have some kind of basic understanding of music, because otherwise it wouldn't be possible. So we saw it in terms of language. And it turned out that these models can work very good for music generation. I have one more example here, and this is a little personal one because it's a model. The next piece is composed by a model that I am developing at Ars Electronica Futurelab. It's also a music generation model, and it has another architecture. And we also have other types of music representation. So the notes are represented differently in our data set. And therefore, it is possible to train the model on only one GPU and with much less training data. We also can use prefixes. Maybe you remember prefixes are used to tell the model how to start the piece of music. And in this case, the prefix is from Franz Schubert's music. And it sounds like this. Gets from the AI system. And now we can see how the model continues web piece. Thank you very much for your attention. I will be happy to answer your questions.
Thank you very much, Ali. One question for me. So the last example you have presented was created in the Ars Electronica Futurelab.
Yes.
So by who, or by a team, or how can I think about what this?
Actually, this is the model I am working on. And because, I mean, naturally, I'm very interested in these kind of things and how we can compose music and understand music with AI systems. And the special thing by this model is that it needs not so as at least less training data than other commonly used AI systems for generating music.
And is it planned to make it open source, that another one can do as well, like MuseNet is open?
MuseNet is not open source. MuseNet is an interface we can use, but it's not open source. Okay. So we are thinking about that. Actually, it was the piece we just heard. It was the first public presentation of this model, because we plan to do the presentation at South by Southwest Festival in Austin early March, but it was cancelled because of COVID-19 concerns. So it was the first time that we publicly showed a result of that model.
The first public showing of this model created by the Ars Electronica Futurelab. One question for me, for the audience: what is about this piano? How is it possible that it plays this music you create by artificial intelligence? Can you talk a little bit about the piano, the Bösendorfer Zeus?
Yes, sure. I mean, it's another topic, but because it hasn't anything to do with artificial intelligence, it's just a very complex machine that is able to play MIDI files and very complex music formats developed by Bösendorfer itself. And yeah, I mean, everything is possible actually. It's a very sensitive machine. So it is possible if you play on this and you can record it, and it will play back the same dynamic of your playing and of course tempo and everything. So it's not really possible to to say if it is now played by the piano or by the human player who has recorded it before.
Okay. So we have some questions from our YouTube channel. Interesting question from Thomas. How did you feel when playing the piece composed by the AI? How do you feel emotional?
I mean, it's a very good question. I'm a feeling when I am playing, but I mean, it's the same as when I am listening to. Because, I mean, it's still kind of strange feeling to know that this music was composed by AI because, you know, because you can feel that the music is able to trigger emotional responses in you, and on the other hand, you exactly know that it was just, you know, just statistical patterns have been learned by the model, and it's not something that that AI can really understand what this means, what's the meaning of it is.
It's a little bit betraying us.
Exactly. It's a strange feeling to as we become more and more aware that music is also only something that can be modeled by AI system. It's just something that AI system can learn to model by just learning statistical patterns in the data. And it's still a strange feeling, actually.
Okay, yeah, it's really strange. Another user is a question. Willie Earth asks, in your opinion, what are the greatest achievements in art?
It is about art or AI? Because in art, there are many achievements. I mean, I can speak for music, and yeah, I mean, what we have in the classical music, I mean, these are the greatest moments of human history sometimes. So if you think about symphonies of Beethoven or Bach or what we had later in the Romanticism, so this, for me, these are works, the artworks are moments where we can see, okay, this kind of development has happened before. In AI, it's different. In AI, we are not generating works, or as an AI researcher, we are not interested in artworks, we are interested in the models that are able to generate those works, those artworks.
Hopefully this was the correct answer what the user was looking for. Brett asks, in the last piece, were the dynamics also generated by artificial intelligence?
No, this is a very good question. It wasn't. Because in our model, we have an abstract representation of notes, and the dynamic of notes, how loud or how soft a key is, it wasn't in the training set. So the model couldn't learn that.
But
so it was
possible to add this in your model?
Yes, I mean, I did it manually afterwards, so the dynamics. But the idea is, it is how I see this, it is not necessary to have everything in one model. So there are models who can get an input, a MIDI file as input, and add the dynamic by artificial intelligence and give you something that sounds like human performance. So for me, the idea is to have a model that can compose music in an abstract way, and you get a MIDI without information about the dynamic, and then you can give that piece to another AI system that can, you know, make it human, add the performance.
Or to give it to a piano player who can interpret it. So like you did.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Interpret. There are already models exactly for that task. So there are models you can, they are also trained with piano performances, so many pieces from a piano competition, for example, and they exactly know how loud or how soft a note in a certain context has to be, and they can learn it.
Okay, there are a lot of questions in our YouTube channel, so I have to wait until the question is finally in the system so I can read it for you. Okay, Brett is asking, it also seems like artificial intelligence generation of rubato for Chopin emulation would be a distinctly difficult problem.
I mean, belongs to the way how we can add performance information into the data and into the training data. As a matter of fact, the Chopin piece I played, or the computer played, it was the dynamic and the rubato in that piece of music was really generated by artificial intelligence, because MuseNet can create also performance data. It means MuseNet can change the tempo, and MuseNet can also add information about the loudness for each key. So the rubato in Chopin piece was actually generated by AI.
Okay. Usering Eccentric asked, do you think we can generate free background music for YouTube videos in the future, or can artificial intelligence also arrange music for different instruments?
Yes, definitely. I mean, it is already possible to generate music. We have some kind of problems, for some kind of limitations, I would say, for generating music. So still, we don't have a satisfactory interface. So what we have is, we can press a button and you can maybe choose between different alternatives that the model gives you. But it is not really possible to direct the music to a certain direction, or to personalize music. So I think the next step would be to have some kind of powerful interfaces for AI-based music generation systems. But even with current technology, it is possible to compose music for background that sounds natural and correct. I always say correct in terms of music theory. And what was the next part of the question?
The question was for different instruments.
Different instruments. This is actually another task for AI systems. There are already AI models that are trained for instrumentation and for orchestration. So what they get a piano score of just say Schumann symphony, and they get the answers. It means how Schumann, for example, did the orchestration of that piece, and they are supposed to learn how to orchestrate these kind of pieces. And you have, of course, different styles, from film music to game music to pop music, and there are many different styles that should be orchestrated in different ways. And you can train models exactly for that purpose.
Okay, there's a question from Horst. How to compare the model from Ali, from your model, with the MuseNet model? What is the difference?
We have a completely different kind of architecture in background as MuseNet. I mean, the most important difference is that our model is able to be trained on only one GPU and with much less training data. I don't know so much about MuseNet technology in background, because it's not open source, and it's not every information about this about the model is published. But MuseNet is trained with 100,000 examples. And MuseNet can, for example, generate dynamics in the output file, dynamic and performance information, what our model can't do, because we have a very abstract type of representation of musical data, which is good on the other hand, because the model is forced to learn everything that is really relevant. Because if we have as less as possible information in the training set, so the model can learn relationships and dependencies that are important and relevant in order to generate similar data. So I think the most important difference is the kind of data representation, and we can say it not only to MuseNet, but also to actually every other music generation models that is out there.
Okay, I have seen a question from Louis Thomas somewhere in the document. Maybe we can show this to me, please. Okay, it's already deleted. Maybe we can find this. I've seen it.
There's another question.
There's another question. Okay, so I add one of the questions I have in mind. will artificial intelligence replace artists in the future?
No, I don't think so, because, I mean, for background music, like it was asked before, maybe, so it is possible. But I think for professional artists, it will give us new possibilities, actually. New possibilities that were not possible, maybe have not been possible some years ago. And I mean, it could be inspiration even now for having different perspectives on the musical data, but I don't think that it will replace artists, because what is the job of the artist actually? They create something new. They always are looking for new ways for extending our possibilities and to creating new things. And therefore, if we have new possibilities from artificial intelligence, I am sure that artists will use those possibilities to create new things. And I mean, on the other hand, it wouldn't be the first time in the human history that inventions led to new possibilities. Even the piano is a very good example, as it was invented in 18th century. So it changed many things in music history, actually.
Another question, quite interesting. How is your model with contemporary music?
Actually, my focus is on classical music for now, because it is easier to find files for training, and it is somewhere where I am more. It's a kind of music I'm more familiar with. And the other thing is, of course, the copyright, because it's also a very big issue if you are working with classical music, with old music, so to speak. So you are safe in terms of copyright, because we really don't know who owns the copyright of the results. So it is safer to work with historical music, also because of these issues.
I don't know if you answered this one. What is the difference between the models, besides the difference of the conceptual approaches, your model and the MuseNet model?
Yeah, besides of conceptual approaches, I think they are. I mean, they have the same tasks. They have the same goals, namely to generate music. And what is, I mean, MuseNet has a memory of 4,000 or 4,096, I think, tokens that you can remember. We have given nodes, and we have to, the task is to generate the next node given previous nodes. And the set of previous nodes, or the bag of previous nodes, it is 4,096 by MuseNet. In my model, it is also 4,000, and but beside that, of course, MuseNet, for example, has information about instrumentation, about orchestration. It is very holistic, so the results are not something that you can get and play with symphony orchestra without arrangements, but it is. Nevertheless, it can have this kind of information, and it can create information about the instruments, so with which instrument should a particular note be played. It is something that we don't have, because we, as I mentioned before, we really want to concentrate on what is relevant, what is important, and represent music in a very abstract way.
Another question from our Skype chat. Are there new art forms based on artificial intelligence besides existing ones like music, painting, sculpturing? Question from Horst.
Not that I am aware of, but I mean, it's a question of time, I think, because as I mentioned before, there are new possibilities, and I'm sure that new types and new kinds of arts will be created and will be here in the future.
Okay. We have a question from our YouTube chat. Will future artists not just concentrate on the artificial intelligence and not on the creativity and the instruments?
It is a good question. The thing is, it's exactly the problem that we have. AI is already able to generate correct data. So data that sounds like music, and everything is correct in terms of music. But the thing is, if something is correct, We can't say just because something is correct, just because A can follow B, it doesn't mean that this has a meaning. And the meaning is the problem. And to have a meaning, you need an intention. So I am intending to communicate some information with you, with this channel, with the audience, because I think this information, because I think it is relevant and it should be communicated. So we need the intention, and AI systems don't have this kind of intention. Therefore, I think the only way that AI system can play a role in artistic works is in collaboration with human artists, because otherwise it is not possible to generate any kind of meaning. And if you don't have meaning, you can create artwork, because I mean, it's everything beautiful and okay, but it's not art, because it's a different. And for creating art, you need intention, and we don't have this in AI system. So in collaboration with human, it will be possible that AI systems can create artwork, real artwork, because the intention and the meanings they come from the human users. And in this case, I don't think that the human artists should be involved in the process of AI technology and how it works in background. We need kind of intuitive collaboration, so that artists can really get from AI systems how can I say, the creativity from AI system and combine it with the creativity from themselves. So in other words, we talked about AI systems might have different perspectives on the data, because they are trained with large amount of data, and maybe they see other things, and the human composer or a human artist should have other perspective on that data. And it would be great if they can collaborate with each other, so that the human artist has something and the AI has something, and they can collaborate with each other in order to create something new. So in short, it is not necessary. I hope it won't be necessary for artists to learn AI and to learn coding and to learn all these things, because it's not intuitive. It has to be really in an intuitive way to collaborate with AI systems.
Another question from the YouTube channel: will, because of this, the future of music school entail programming? Will there be programming?
Okay, this is exactly what...
This is a little bit in the direction you were saying the last sentence.
Actually, it is, yeah, I mean, it is already the case, actually. I think for now, if you study music, so technology will play a big part in your study. And yeah, it is okay. I think it is important to understand how AI models learn in background. But my point was, regarding last question, for the interaction, for collaboration, you shouldn't you shouldn't think about coding and about AI system. I'm talking about myself. If I want to create something with AI system, even if it is my own system, even if I have developed it, I don't want to think about the technology in background while I am creating music, because it wouldn't be intuitive. But to know how these things work in background, of course, it would be very, very helpful. And of course, artists might be able to extend those systems and to make their own modules and to add additional features into the systems.
We have one of the most difficult questions, I suppose, from Wilde in the YouTube chat. Why is art beautiful to us humans?
Why is art beautiful to us humans? I mean, it is exactly the point of what can we learn from AI systems. Maybe we can answer this question in some years, because if AI systems are able to generate something that we perceive as beautiful, and they only have learned statistical patterns of the data, maybe we can answer this question why it is beautiful, because it's nothing else than statistical patterns.
So we are artificial intelligence, we can learn more about us, so it's a little bit of a mirror for our understanding of art, of our feeling to arts.
Exactly, and this is exactly the point why we are trying to keep the data, the training data, as simple as possible. Only what is really relevant should be in the training set. And it's exactly the reason why we are just looking for more simple data representation of music, so that the computer can only learn what is relevant.
Okay, another question from the YouTube chat. What is the meaning of an artificial intelligence generated artwork? Is it really art?
I think I have already answered that question. It is correct what AI systems are able to generate, but it is not art because it has no meaning. It is very difficult to imagine that AI systems can, or generally that technology can generate meaning. So it is very difficult to imagine. I don't think that, because for generating meaning, you need to intention. First of all, you need the intention to generate a meaning. And this system don't have that. And therefore, I think it is not art what they generate. It's beautiful and it's correct and everything, but it has no meaning unless it is created in collaboration with human artists.
And the next question from our Skype chat. Okay, Ali, now it's really getting personal. Are you an artist or are you an engineer?
I mean, officially, I am a key researcher and artist at Ars Electronica Futurelab. But for me, I mean, I don't think that I'm an artist, because for me, it's not, for me, the creation, of course, I enjoy to create something and to play the piano and everything, but I am more interested in the background. I am more interested, for example, in questions like why art can trigger emotions in us. And I'm more interested in the theoretical background and of course, in relation to art.
Okay. Connection to the earlier question from the Skype chat. Do you see the outcome of your work as engineering or art? So
Definitely engineering, definitely, because it is not for me a particular piece of music that is created by an AI system is not that important. For me, it is important that we have an AI system that is able to create something like this. So I'm more interested in the creator than in the artwork.
Okay. Do we have additional questions from our Skype or? Yes, we have additional questions, so we wait a little bit. From the Skype chat, could it also be possible for artificial intelligence to create new instruments or sounds of instruments in the future?
Yes, definitely, and it is something that already have been done or is already a part of research. So you can have a look at Magenta project from Google, and they already have such models.
Google?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you can find this in the internet,
Yes.
Magenta from Google,
Yeah.
and then you can take a look how there are already such examples existing. Okay, we have another question. So there are a lot of things to talk about after this really great and interesting talk here from the Ars Electronica Center. From the YouTube chat from Thomas, what are the goals of or use cases for artificial intelligence-based music generation systems?
There are several possibilities, of course, and I mean, one of the obvious possibilities could be that everybody can be able in the future to express himself or herself in music without having been studying music or music theory and everything, because AI could make it possible through an intuitive interface and through collaboration that everybody can really in an intuitive way create music that express him or her feelings. Another possibility, of course, would be using AI as for new possibilities, for new combinations and structures that music might have, but we are not aware of. And of course, the third possibility is something that we already have been talking about, which is we could maybe understand our own creativity and our own perception of music through AI, because it is if AI models are able to trigger emotional responses in us. So maybe there is something there in the statistical patterns that have been learned that we can use to understand our own creativity. Why some kind of certain structures in music can trigger emotions in us and other structures cannot. So it would be a very interesting question.
And maybe the final question, because we have to go on with our home delivery program, from the YouTube chat from Hola: what are your plans for the future with this model?
I think it is easy to answer. I mean, we have two parts. The first part is the backend, the AI system that generates music. And I think in that field, of course, we can try new architectures, do new kind of representations. But in my opinion, the most important limitation, the most important issue with AI-based music generation systems is the interface, is the collaboration with human artists. And I hope we can research this and we can find new ways, new intuitive ways of collaboration with humans, because it would be one of the most important bottlenecks that we have currently.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Ali, for this great talk and a lot of questions you were able to answer. Most of them really difficult to answer. Thank you for your work. Thank you for being here, and everything the best for your next works in this research
Thank you very much.
field. I want to say only a few words to our next programs. At 4:30 Central European Time, we'll have an interesting talk about this year's Bei Ars Electronica in the category of animation, computer animation, and therefore we will show some of the really newest videos from the computer animation and talk a little bit about the work in the Bei Ars Electronica jury. And next Tuesday, there will be at 1 o'clock Central European Time again inside Futurelab. Hopefully you have time to join us, and all the best from the Ars Electronica Center here in Linz. Goodbye.